So please click OK.
Darina, thank you. Shall we start?
Yeah, I think we can start. Thank you for joining the meeting. Sultanat, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Dear colleagues, welcome on our session. We usually try to run it once or twice per semester, just to update you on the leave of absence, dismissal, withdrawal cases, policy, the instructions, maybe some questions you have. You can ask them right now. And so we will all find together some solutions to solve it. We also invited a few advisors who also consult students on some of the questions related to the academic status. So they also know how and where the policies are based and what maybe they need to know and how they can suggest students and other different options. So we will briefly go through all these items, and afterwards you may ask the questions. Today here you see that Darina, she is a senior manager and actually responsible for student service unit in our office. Then also Dilruba, she's responsible for leave of absence and the return from leave of absence. Ahbopea, who is working on the dismissal and withdrawal cases. So please feel free to ask your questions in the chat or afterwards ask them after each section will be done. So thank you, Darina, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sultanat. Hello, everyone again. The agenda of today's workshop mainly consists of the review of procedures for students' academic status change, and I will put the agenda in the chat so that you can always go back to it whenever needed. So each section will be followed by Q&A session. The sections are leave of absence, requests for leave of absence, requests for voluntary withdrawal, and student dismissals. The parts of leave of absence and voluntary withdrawal must be particularly interesting to advisors. And dismissal section is mainly for administrators. However, advisors are welcome to stay for all three sections as well. Of course, and before we start, let me deliver a message from the Office of the Registrar. It is about the deadlines. Deadlines are particularly important and please check late submissions deadlines. Check submission deadlines first. They are available in academic calendars and regulations. Please mark your calendars, and from now and on, late submissions will not be delivered directly to the Office of the Registrar, but only via Provost. So all late submissions will go through the Provost office together with an explanatory note. This will help us to analyze how to fix the system. At this point, I will refer to my colleagues. Dilruba Omarova will talk about leave of absence, and Agbopia Kumbetova will talk about student withdrawals and dismissals. After each section, there will be a Q&A section. So please take notes of your questions. You can type them in the chat, or you can ask your questions during the Q&A sections. At this point, Dilruba, I refer to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Darina. The first part of our today's meeting is leave of absence. So, leave of absence and return from leave of absence. So today is we will point out what is the leave of absence. Dates are important, effect of LoA, categories, procedure, and or comments and recommendations in Q&A session. So leave of absence is a period of time when a student temporarily leaves the university for a certain period of time due to some factors, preventing them to him or her from studying. It can be illness, it can be illness of a family member, a job, internship, etc. LOA can be granted for the period from 6 months up to 1 academic year. There are 3 types of LOA. It's medical, immediate family member, and other. A student can apply for leave of absence return from leave of absence, also for prolongation for leave of absence through the system My Registrar. The manual for students, for undergraduate students, you can find on My Registrar, undergraduate students academic leave, for graduate students academic leave. Applications are considered upon the automatic route to the My Registrar, and the route can be, a student can see their routes when they submit their forms. It's like, first it's registrar admin, which checks the dates, checks all the documents, the validity of the documents. If registrar admin approves it, it goes next to the program director or advisor, depends on the program, dean of the school, DSA, Department of Student Services, University Health and Safety Department, associate registrar, vice president for student affairs, vice provost, and then to register admin back, and register admin at the second stage when he or she receives it at the last stage. They initiate an order in directum. So after the provost decision is assigned, the student and school, as also other departments, are also notified. Data are important. So according to the regulations, there is no application for LoA will be accepted after the last day of classes. For the most programs, the last day of classes for this semester is 26th of November. So students have to submit their applications with collected approvals up to 5th person is Health and Safety Department, if it's medical, for others until Department of Student Services until 26th of November. The date of return should be tracked by school and should be the beginning of the semester, except School of Medicine and modular courses, which have the different deadlines. The deadline for submission of the application for return and from leave of absence normally submitted no less than 10 days prior the beginning of academic period. But again, for the undergraduate students, those who need to register for spring courses, they need to return earlier. For example, in December, when the registration starts, so they are able to register and to take all the courses they need. Effect on grades. No grades will be changed if a student was registered for courses prior to the submission of application. And if submitted for the current semester after the end of final exam period. All courses will be dropped if it's the drop period, and all courses will be withdrawn if it's withdrawal period. If a student has an outstanding incomplete grade at the time of granting leave of absence, the period for completion of that incomplete grade can be extended for the period of the LoA. So school have to initiate a new incomplete form with the updated deadline. Categories of LoA. There are 3 types of categories for LoA. It's medical, immediate family member, and other. As for medical, it's physical and mental health condition, including pregnancy. It can be granted from 6 months to up to 12 months. Please pay attention that if student completes 85-90% of the coursework, so students may ask for incomplete grade, not for LoA. It will be more comfortable for students to take incomplete grade rather than LoA in that case, because in case of LoA, he or she will repeat the entire course. As for immediate family member, it's when something happens to parent, spouse, dependent child, sibling, or etc. So in case of, under this case, all students are also granted for leave of absence from 6 to 12 months, except child care, it's up to 24 months, only in case if LOA for pregnancy was not granted before. A subsequent LOA shall not be granted under this category. And other, it's usually for professional development related to study activities and so on. Also, the period is the same, and the subsequent LOA cannot be granted by this category. So as for NUFIP and NUFIP programs, they have their own restrictions. So the CPS school needs to refer to regulations that are posted on my Registrar website, policies and procedures when granting those students leave of absence. As for procedures for LOA, it's the first step is the application. Student initiates it in my Registrar system, submits all supporting documents, and submits a form. Attaching documents is also done by student. A medical certificate, as we call it, ВКК, заключение врачебно-консультативной комиссии, they can be issued only by medical authority, and it has to be verified by our health and safety department. Documents submitted by third parties, the third party have to have a corresponding notarized power of attorney to submit those documents. After the submission of the application, school have to check also the student status, because some of the students, for example, it's the beginning of the semester, they have to register, and if student is not registered student, school office have to check is that student applied for LoA or withdrawal, for example, or if this student needs a memo from the school, because there are some special cases when students need a memo to be approved by Dean and VPA. So, and the last stage is forming the provost decision. When the registrar admin receives the second time after all approvals are collected in the registrar's application of the student, he or she initiates the order in directum. After the order is signed and registered by the office of the registrar, the office distributes the decision to the all involved units and to the student. Procedures for return from leave of absence are quite the same, but there are some things that school needs to pay attention. The school needs to check all the students on LoA and notify them about the deadlines. To request the list of students on LoA, you can contact our OR data. The school takes responsibility on students' return date. Please pay attention to student degree requirements, consult with student advice, and make sure that all courses are available by students' return. Especially it's for those courses, for example, third-year student, if they need, or fourth year, if they need some special courses to be able to graduate on time, or, for example, graduate school of business, they have some courses, for example, starting in December, and if student returns in August, he or she will stay taking without courses till December. So please pay attention to the availability of the courses that students need. So application for return from leave of absence normally is submitted no less than 10 days, working days prior to the beginning of academic period. But also if student needs to be registered for classes, please encourage them to return from leave of absence earlier at the beginning of the registration period. So they have to be returned until the period deadline. And the steps, they are the same. The students need to submit all the documents via my registrar system. The documents have to be checked by health and safety department if it's medical category. Also, our office prepares the decision and distributes it within other units. So our main comments and recommendations from our office is to check the students who are applying for leave of absence. If it's school managers, and they can find it in the student request other. There, why we need it, because for example, for category others, there are a lot of cases when students need a memo if school approves, for example, their academic leave. And also there are cases that student involved in disciplinary misconduct can not apply for leave of absence. In this case, OR does not know about these cases. There is only school and Department of Student Services who tracks these cases. So because of that, please check your students, please check other eligible for applying for LoA under this category or not. If your school decide to approve their LoA, please make sure to send a memo, corresponding memo to VPA. So, and we OR needs to receive this memo not from the school, but through directum from the Office of Vice Provost. Also, undergraduate students have to have a CGPA not less than 3, and for graduate students, the GPA can be found from APP for graduate students on my registrar, policies and procedures. And also in exceptional cases, please don't forget about the memos, because at the end of closer to the end of the classes, there usually or expects a lot of LoA applications, and most of them needs a memo from the schools. For category immediate family member, only in case of extraordinary social and economic issues, we need the memo also to be approved by VPA through directum, and we need to have this memo through directum from VPA office. The school tracks all students on LoA and notifies them about the deadlines. In case of students non-return, non-responding to your emails, non-responding to your phone calls, you can also may ask Department of Student Services to help you to find out maybe something happened to the student. And then if there is no feedback from the student, please, school shall start the process of the student's dismissal. So since the registration for spring 2022 starts in December, please encourage your student to start application for return early, so they're able to register to the courses they need. So that's all that I have. And if you have any questions, comments that you wanna ask, please feel free to.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Hello, it's Madina from GSPP. I have a question about the other category. So we often face this applications from students who want to apply under the other category. Once it's related to professional development, it's okay. For example, students can submit an official certificate from their job about this working, about professional development, etc. But there are some cases when students are not able to provide any kind of documents. For example, we recently had some students from Afghanistan. Because of the situation in Afghanistan, they could not provide any kind of official documents, or some other cases when students want to apply to LoA, but they don't know what kind of documents to submit. Is this, in this kind of cases, is it possible for dean of the school, for example, to send just a memo, as you said, for exceptional cases, and the student to provide a letter to provost, or any kind of documents will be still required?
Usually we had some cases. I think it was a student from your school recently. He applied. He is from Afghanistan. He applied for LoA. What we ask for is that in that case is explanatory note dated and signed by a student, which he or she attached in the My Registrar system, and copy of his passport. And so we see that he is from Afghanistan. Yes, we know about the situation in Afghanistan, and it's okay, it's fine. The student was granted LoA. Yes, there was some cases during pandemic when students, foreign students from other countries would have different time zones. For example, we know that from student from Nigeria have a different time zone. It's really hard him or from the United States to concentrate during his time slots when he or she have classes. Yes, in that case, it was fine. They submitted their explanatory notes. They explained their reasons that from the other countries where there are wars or during different time zones or something else, and they attached their passport. And there was some cases and they were granted leave of absence, yes. But if they say, I want to work or I have to stay at army, they have to attach supporting documents. For example, there was some student that applied for LoA that have to, he was recruited to the army. It's obligatory of the students, so he attached his documents. So it was also fine.
Dilroba, can you please also comment on the category? What you have just, the category for those cases that you have just listed.
It was category other also, but it was not professional development. It was just other. It's other does not mean only professional development. We say usually it was a professional development, but during the pandemic, it's really switched to the other focus, and there are also professional development, of course, and there are some extra cases, new cases for LoA that was like different zones, different countries, and so on.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, do you know, it's just not only for Office of the Registrar, maybe to other colleagues from other schools, is it true that if there is an incomplete grade in students' transcript or information at the registrar database that they don't receive a stipend during this period? Is it true?
They need to contact Bursar's office also, and we have regulations on stipend in Director. They need to contact Bursar's and to look through APP, yes. If there is incomplete, yes.
You're right. I can confirm, that if any incomplete and graduate level students, they have an incomplete, they will be not eligible for stipend. You can check with APP and also with Bursar's office, but that's official, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Dilroba.
Hello.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, I was going to say, I see you raised your hand. Please go ahead with your question or comment or suggestion.
Thank you. Dilroba, I have a question. The number 4, it was number 4 step when the student is in the process of application and we advise student that he or she needs to be registered and needs to be in the class, but this is not stated in the regulations for LoA. Is it somewhere placed or it's just oral communications that we provide to the students?
No, there is a clause in the LoA. I can send you via email later the clause that refers the student have to be expected to remain to register in classes. This is because there are a few cases when provost can just not sign the leave of absence form, and student who is not registered, for example, just registered for classes but not attending, not submitting the assignments, he will fail from that class, and he will, for example, not receive his LoA will not be approved. In this case, he will fail. He will be or on probation, or it's, for example, not the first time, he can be the subject for dismissal. That's why we encourage students to stay. I know that sometimes it's really difficult because some of students, for example, if it's not medical, usually medical, of course, we understand that if a student is in hospital, it's really hard to attend the classes. But if, for example, it's because of job or because he needs to help his family, sometimes there we also ask because if there are few cases when provost does not sign, for example, his or her LoA, students risk to fail from the classes and in future to be subject for dismissal. That's why we ask them to stay registered.
Thank you, Dziroba. Thank you very much.
We also indicated, I'm sorry, we also indicated in chat, Darina sent the link for the regulations, and I copy pasted the two clause for leave of absence clause 36 that says that the student is expected to remain registered, and 65 it's for pending the president decision for withdrawal and dismissal. It's in the chat here.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not sure about other schools, but so I'm advising second year students, undergrad students. As far as I understand, they're not supposed to work. So if someone submits an application saying that there's like a job opportunity and this kind of stuff, do I understand correctly that for like for undergrad students, it's not a valid reason, or it counts as professional development if they just work, or I don't know, if it depends on whether they work on something related to their specialization or not? How do we decide on these cases?
Usually undergraduate student works, as you have already mentioned, on professional development. It's mostly third or fourth year student, and sometimes students works because of the financial situation in their family. For example, their parents lost job, or one of the parents died or something else, and they asking for job. It's usually it's not related to their major because they just need to help, for example, his or her mother. So we are just checking the document that student first he or she submits the explanatory note when where she explains the reasons, the main reason why he or she needs to work. Is it other category when it's professional development, or it's immediate family member when her family needs their support, their financial support. And after that, when they submit these documents, explanatory note, it's called also выписка from ЕМПФ о пенсионных отчислениях родителей, or certificate that the parent is unemployed and they have really need to support their family, and the certificate of birth of the student, so we can check that it's really his or her parent. So we have Office of the Registrar does not allow student or do not allow student to take LoA. We just checking the validity of the documents, their how to say. Their correspondence to this category, their correspondence to this reason. And the final decision, of course, school can also reject, because after registrar admin, it goes to the advisor or program director, then to the dean. And the final decision is made by provost when he checks all these explanatory notes and so on, and he decides whether to give him or her LoA or not.
In my case, the student had already taken the leave of absence using this reason that he needs to help the family, but then he wanted to take another leave of absence, I guess, using the other category. So I'm not sure like whether it qualifies or not as the other category if he just plans to work, continue working full-time while studying.
Yes, if student, for example, took LoA previously due to family reasons, immediate family member, to help financially their parents, they cannot take LoA under this category again, because subsequent LoA is not granted. And some of them, yes, they take LoA due to other category, like they want to develop professional. But again, it's up to, if these documents are right, if the documents are corresponding, OR will not reject the form because we check the validity of the documents. But school can write, even if the school approves, they can write the comments like, but it's easier to reject this form to say like it's the same category, well, not category, it's the same reason, but it's not related to your major or something like that, or to leave some comments for the student. You can type in when you're approving or rejecting the form again, and or to leave some comments for the provost in my register again, because when we're merging all these documents and attaching them to the order, we're attaching all the comments from advisor, from dean and other departments, so he also sees all these comments.
And who in the school approves this? Is the dean or vice dean? Who should I refer them to?
First approves advisor,
Can you,
and the
Robert,
second
can you
is
please
dean.
go back to the slide with the route?
First is registered admin who checks
I'm the advisor.
documents.
How do I decide whether to approve or not that?
If you see the reason and you are not how to say, relying to the student, you can talk with him or her to ask about these reasons and to talk, for example, that this job is not related to their professional development or to their career, to their major, or to leave comments to the dean of the school. You have to approve and reject. If you reject the form, you have to leave the comments. If you approve, it will be okay without the comments, but you can leave your comments.
What
Yeah,
I
can
mean
I
is
also
there are no
add-
strict guidelines saying that I cannot approve or reject for particular reasons. It's just up to me.
Absolutely, absolutely, Oleg, because we cannot dictate, please approve your decision based on this categories we have, or based on that. What Dilruba was saying, we have 3 major categories. Usually medical is not questioned so much because students have a real paper that says that they need the academic leave. But where we need the advisor's attention, it's actually the type other or immediate family. And advisor is not only the one who approves schedule, what courses to take, or approves the leave of absence. We assume that advisor is the one who maybe once per month or constantly meet with the student and know their status, any issues they have or any help they need. And that's why we assume that the student, before making a decision on taking a leave of absence or deciding what they do with their studies, withdraw from the university or etc., they go and talk first with an advisor. And then together with an advisor, they come up with a decision or solution. What shall they do? Stop the studies or have some gap year as using a leave of absence? And based on that one, you take a decision. And why the advisors were put in this process from the beginning on back to 2010 or 11, when we started to initiate this policy overall. It was suggested that the advisors are the ones that closely work with the student and they know their condition and the status of a student. So they will be the main people who know whether to give the leave of absence or not. And the dean is another procedure. They know in this, because the student belongs to that school, dean also in the approval process. But for all, for us as an understanding, that the advisor is an ultimate person who knows current state of a student, how they do the studies, how do they feel, and they can help and advise. So it's 100% up to you. Or maybe you had a meeting with him and said, actually, you can take a incomplete grade, go and talk to your instructor for that course that's difficult for you, and I'm not approving your leave of absence, let's say, and then student in any case not listening to you and applying for leave of absence, and then you can catch and know, okay, I give you another advice, but you didn't listen, but that's why I'm rejecting, because you have another option to do. The leave of absence will not resolve your issue. You need to apply for incomplete grade, for example. And that's why it's different cases or situation could happen. And we don't have a list of, okay, this is possible to approve for leave of absence and these are not. The only restrictions we have, it's based on these types, based on the GPA and required documents. Anything they would like to apply, because at the end of the day, we're responding back to the government, because all students, majority of them studying for the state scholarship and national taxpayers pays for it. We need to be responsible. If the student took a leave, based on what reasons, and that's why we require dozens of documents to have the proof that their leave of absence is not something they came up out of the blue, but it's a reason behind it. And that's why for us it's important that all advisors are involved in student life.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
And this is the kind reminder, you can send your questions to the chat or just unmute yourself to ask questions now. No questions at this point, and I think we can move on. Roba, thank you very much. You can stop sharing your screen. In our agenda, the second point is student withdrawal, student voluntary withdrawal, Agbupe, and the floor is yours. In case, dear participants, in case you remember your question or you realize you didn't ask a question about LoA, please do not hesitate to ask it to ask your questions later. And now, Agbupe, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So today I want to talk about withdrawals. Do you see my screen?
Yes, thank you. We see it in the presentation mode.
Вот здесь у меня. Нормально? Thank you. Okay, today we're gonna talk about voluntary withdrawal. So what's the voluntary withdrawal? It means when a student canceled his enrollment by own decision and is no longer a student of our university. Also, students can apply for voluntary withdrawal through my Registrar system. Manuals are presented on our website. It's also done by automatic route on my Registrar, and the decision is generated in Directum by our office. There are some points effect on grades. So no grades will be changed if student was registered for courses before the submission of the application for voluntary withdrawal, and submits it for current semester during or after the end of final exam period. In this case, no grades will be changed, and also no grades will be awarded for current semester, and all grades will be marked as W withdrawal if the student was registered for courses before the submission of application for withdrawal. So the first step is student completes an application for withdrawal in my Registrar. The second step, if the student is under 18 years old, they have to attach parents' approval. It can be written in Russian or English or in Kazakh by their parents, but it has to be signed and dated. Also, system automatically do not allow to continue without this attachment to students who is under 18 years old. The third one, So after all attachment, this form goes to advisor, and we kindly ask advisors to provide more information you have about the student, because Office of the President is asking for clarification. For example, if student says that he wants to withdraw due to health issues, please make sure if he knows about LoA or other options. If the student says he's withdrawing because he enrolled to another university, please ask him which university he enrolled and why he is withdrawing from NU. Maybe it's better to transfer to another school for him, something like this. Please provide as much information as you can, because it's very important. And most of all, in most cases, advisors know student case better than deans or than Office of the Registrar. The fifth case, the decision is prepared to the Office of the President in directum by OR, and after its signature and registration, student status could be changed in the system, and Office distributes a copy of the decision to the student and to all relevant student units. Also, Office could release students' documents. It's especially for NUFIP and undergraduate students after the completion of checkout list and after the decision is made. And comments and recommendations from OR. One more time, we need more information from advisors about student case. And a student can apply for voluntary withdrawal if no memo was initiated by the school to the Office of the President. It could be academic cases or non-academic cases. School should track this students' disciplinary cases, because we don't know if student has this disciplinary case or not. So we kindly ask school to track it. That's all. Maybe if you have any questions, you are welcome.
Yeah, the process of voluntary withdrawal is usually shorter than LoA or dismissal, but it also requires special attention, especially for those cases when a student wants to transfer to another university, and but he or she can be offered to just transfer to another school or to provide any other options. The comment of AGBP on the importance of asking a student for the reasons to transfer to another university is it is usually asked by president and the president office. And you can write your questions in the chat, either to me or to everyone, or you can ask questions on student withdrawal now. Okay, I think we can move on then. You can always ask your questions by emailing to registrar@nu.edu.kz, We check email box on daily basis and questions related to academic change of academic status of students will also be replied through that through registrar at NU.edu. Agrupi, I think it's time to move to the last part of our workshop, the student dismissals. How to process student dismissals.
Okay. I think this dismissal cases initiated by the school managers, so it will be interesting for school managers, but advisors can also attend and join. Can also attend this presentation. So we will start. What is the dismissal? It means when student is forced to cancel his enrollment by university's resolution and no longer a current student of our university. For more details, we use regulations for dismissal, also graduate APP for graduate students or undergraduate APP, NOZIP APP, student code of conduct in disciplinary cases, and student handbooks. It's especially for graduate and PhD students and other documents. Reasons for dismissal could be academic, it's failure of GPA or failure to maintain satisfactory progress, not registration for minimum number of credits, and so on. The other reason is disciplinary. It's when student failure to attend the first week of classes, failure to attend orientation session, or failure to attend the required number of classes. And also if students provide false documentation or do not provide documents by the deadline to admission department. And also here is a failure to return from LoA, as Dilroba said. If the student doesn't return from LoA on time, we can dismiss him under this category. The other reasons financial, it should be tracked by Bursars, and also failure to sign an agreement, it should be tracked by schools, and other reason provided by legislations of Kazakhstan. Procedure, so tracking the process and forming the list of the student for dismissal, it's done by our office or Bursars. It's sent to school, then Dean approves the list of the student recommended for dismissal. Then school sends a notification to student. Student could apply a written request for reconsideration. After this, school should initiate a memo with a recommendation to dismissal to the president. This memo is reviewed by Office of the Registrar, Office of the Provost, and then it goes to the president. And when it's signed, Office of the Registrar initiates a dismissal decision based on this memo. So our comments and recommendations, end of term report by our office is call for actions to school. No, based on end of term report dismissal will be after this fall. So that's why we highly recommend you to dismiss the student who did not register for fall to 2021. We have some students from SSH and SMG. Please initiate the dismissal memo as soon as possible, because it would be hard to dismiss them at the end of the fall semester. So please initiate the memo for their dismissal. And it's important to follow the procedure step by step as it's written in regulations. For example, you couldn't send a notification to student without dean's approval. So all procedures should be done step by step. Make sure you choose a correct clause for student dismissal, both in notification and in memo to recommendation for dismissal. And student written request for a consideration shall be dated and signed by student. Apart from required documents stated in the regulations, please attach other documents like student info, student handbook, and so on if needed. Once approved by OR, please print a memo with dean's recommendation and send it to the office of the provost and then to the office of the president. So that's all. If you have any questions regarding procedure or regarding dismissal of non-registered students, you are welcome to ask.
Yeah, before, okay, we have got no questions. Thank you, Dana. Also, please let me inform you about the general update of all manuals for all three processes, LoA, withdrawal, and dismissal. And this is also this workshop is also an opportunity to present you this few manuals. Processes are all the same. We only put everything in a single document for each process. I will put here a link to the G drive, and of course we will send it to you as an email in our post meeting mailing. In this more details on dismissal as well is in the manual. The manual is created for new staff members, so it is not for distribution to students. Students usually have separate documents for these processes. Their manuals are available on registrar.nu.edu.kz. But when I understand the students usually approach to school administrators, and these manuals can be a basis for consulting students and for following the procedures, regulations, and regulations and rules. In case you have got any questions, please welcome to ask them.
Darina, before you sum up, can I just highlight a few things we've said during the workshop? So the school managers, advisors paid attention. As one of the things here is mentioned as a recommendation or comment, right? The second point, no, based on EOT dismissal after this fall. What does it mean? At the end of every semester, Office of the Registrar does end of term report, where we, based on the grades, academic probation, and etc., on academic performance, we run the report and state, okay, the student needs to be put on the first probation, second probation, or leaving the probation. or some students shall be recommended for dismissal because of their poor performance, and we do it based on all policies, academic policies and procedures we have. But it's up to each school to decide if they grant the additional semester or not, if they dismiss or give a second chance. But here, what we want to state, it's actually second or third year in a row, not official decision is done at the dean's group together with the approval of the provost and the president of the university, that we don't dismiss students after fall semester. After this semester will be over in November, December, we don't dismiss anybody, even if they're in a really bad condition. We give them a second chance as a university and allow them to continue their studies during the spring semester. This is done because based on the previous experience we had, those students, they just get lost and they don't manage to do anything. And usually the decisions after the fall semester happens quite late because everybody lives on the holidays. No official representatives of deans sometimes are on place to sign up the recommendation and proceed it with the top management of the university. So it was actually different, several reasons to make this decision of not dismissing the students after fall semester. But exceptional cases could happen, or some extraordinary cases, maybe some graduate programs, because the program is short, schools may recommend the student for dismissal. That's why, as I hope you mentioned you earlier, we really ask for your attention to dismiss those students. Some schools still have some pending dismissals from SSH, SMG, or maybe others, those who didn't register for classes, and it's actually already 8th week of class within the upcoming 7 weeks, and the studies will be over. You need to recommend the dismissal for them already from now on. They need to be urgently recommended for dismissal. And those who didn't return from leave of absence, that's also the school's responsibility to follow up to see if they're coming on time or did they didn't return back from leave of absence. Though that's your attention we would like to put on that after this semester, it will not be a big group of dismissals. But it means that spring semester for all of us will be tough because it will be then degree conferral. Together with the dismissal process going on, we need to get ready. So that's the first thing I would like to know. I would like to mention to all of you. And the second one, and we will follow up afterwards with an email or memo to all school deans. It's a third point, as you can see, follow deadlines indicated in academic calendar. You all know, and I will briefly now show you the My Register system, the usual system you all work and you're familiar with. Why this is important, unfortunately, or I don't know, just because we are all overloaded, but it's already several years that any material we receive from schools come with delay. They come late for a few days minimum, because a list of students is a lot, the materials to digest is a lot, or some schools who submit on time just need to wait for those who didn't submit yet. Even, for example, now we're running midterm report late because schools didn't submit them on time, and we were forced to extend the deadlines. From now on, from this semester on, from this workshop on, we will for this one, we'll send a memo to all schools. Any delay based on the indicated deadlines in academic calendars or sent by email or memo, if the deadlines will not be met, we, unfortunately, as Office of the Registrar, will not manage to accept that information. You will need to write a memo, explanation memo to the provost, and then provost will review the case and assign as a task to us. If the request was not done based on the indicated deadlines. This is not what we want to do, honestly, but it's not only about the end of term report or registration report, it's including the graduation. I know it's only a few managers for the big schools, but we all struggle, and we struggle in the sense that then students struggle with getting on-time reports, any other reports. So we really ask you to review all the deadlines that are indicated in academic calendar. Darina, do you see my screen? Can all of you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So this is our Registrar's webpage. All of you have an access to this, and under the quick links you can find the academic calendars up until 2024. Here when you click based on the level of the program you have, you can find out this indicated deadlines. Our deadlines to submit reports to you, and you can actually do the same. If, for example, the report was promised by December 20th and we sent it later, you also can say, okay, because you were late, we're reporting on you to anybody else because we were not on time and we were consuming your time, right? And here you can see the reporting time when we send to you and you send us back, but this is mainly connected with end of term report and degree conferral. All other reports and deadlines usually come by email or the memo, but this is a major deadlines, the final exams, posting the grades, what usually also we receive with the delays. So this all from now on will need to be come if with a delay or late submission through the office of the provost. Also here, the policies and the regulations we've been talking, as they are all publicly available, depending on the level of the student. For the undergraduate, graduate, all the policies on regulations on leave of absence, graduation policy, academic policies and procedures. You can also find them here on the webpage. And as Darina was saying to all of you, Darina Dilurbai and Ahgope, all of you have the manual called student request, and under the student request you see all the requests that come to you, and some of you may not see maybe the requests that were rejected, and you can actually find and search once per week if you want. Maybe some requests were rejected and you didn't know as an advisor or school manager at the level of the office of the registrar. Maybe you were rejected because some documents were missing. And if you want to go and look, you can just choose the status and look, okay, why, what was the reason of rejecting it, and if they submitted the form again. So, and here they have the manual, how to approve and what to do with them. So I think it's more or less here on the webpage is clear, but also as Darina told you, you have, and she shared with you the instructions in Google Drive. It's open to all school managers and advisors to have a look and see. And if you have any questions, please feel free to message us, drop by, because we're coming to work every day to clarify some things, but we really ask you to pay attention for those instructions because they are done like A, B, C, D, what shall you do first, second, and third. And majority of you are those who've been working here for a long time. And just one more small suggestion is, if possible, to get involved to dismissal and withdrawal procedures specifically, one more person to your work. So when you're on leave or any medical leave, somebody who will be replacing you knows the procedure and will not be not panicking, but doing it, let's say, in a different way just because they say they didn't know. The instructions from the side of the registrar we provided to you as much as we can, and maybe internal instructions you can write for those. So it will be it will be people who can replace you in this specific cases when we have too many of them. So that are the main points from my side. I don't know, Darina, if you've mentioned anything about the WhatsApp.
I would like to, I was thinking about that, and I would like to use this platform as an opportunity to mention some communications, basic communication principles. When referring to the Office of the Registrar, please try to use emails more for work-related issues, and this is because we usually process confidential students' personal confidential information. Whenever possible, WhatsApp is acceptable, but only for text messages with short and urgent messages. And please, no audio messages in WhatsApp or any other social media, only texts. And anyway, please let's try to reduce social media conversations and use more our Gmail. It is a way more secure, and it is more professional, I will say. Also, I would like, moving from this point, I would like to double check whether we have got anything else to discuss from you, dear participants. Any questions, suggestions, concerns you would like to share? Thank you for being, thank you for joining this meeting. Let me wrap up then. I will wrap up with them. Okay, as a handout, as a takeaway, you received this link to manuals and slides. Please feel free to share them with your colleagues. And you will also receive, later you will also receive a separate email with the link. And of course, your colleagues will also receive another email so that everybody is on the same page. From my side, there are three main messages from today's workshop, and they are: please check the school, check that the school handbooks are available and updated. As you can see from, as you could see from Agbapia's session, we referred to school handbooks a lot for dismissals. Message number 2 is please follow the deadlines indicated in the calendar and regulations. Please mark your calendars according to the calendar and regulations. And finally, please feel free to share your thoughts with us. For that, you can use our email addresses or our phones. Registrar@nu.edu.kz is open for any registrar-related questions. Again, thank you for joining the meeting. And you have a good day and have a good weekend.
Thank you, colleagues. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very
Have a good
welcome.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.